I first came to Sidwell, my aunt leading me by the hand. I was a 3-year-old entering what they called kindergarten back then, and I stayed until I was 17. That was as important a long moment in my life as I've ever had. I loved going to school every day. The history classes taught at Sidwell in middle school and in the high school were superb. I never had a bad one. They were all exciting. But I never imagined myself becoming a historian until I had gone off to the American University of Beirut, and that transformed me. I taught the introductory subjects in Middle Eastern history, from the rise of Islam to present times. I taught courses in Egypt, Turkey, Iran, comparative politics. I taught graduate courses on the Arab-Israeli conflict and on nationalisms in the Middle East. You know, I've spent my entire career at MIT, and I really can't say I've had a bad day here. I mean, every day has really been quite wonderful. And I may have the best job at MIT because it allows me to participate in the world of the arts and in what we do internationally, where MIT can engage in major research in countries and with countries around the world and bring researchers and other kinds of scholars to us, and we also can go out to them. So I'm deeply involved in helping to structure various kinds of collaborations. I'll never forget the power of Sidwell's commitment to tolerance and to diversity, and to ensuring that students who go there learn about other societies and cultures. And I feel privileged to have had those opportunities. Perhaps I was advantaged in that way, not because of any talent I had, but just what Sidwell offered us in the way of thinking.
For me, Sidwell was a beautiful place. I think the experience of Friends' way of being made me keenly aware of how we need to listen to each other's voices, to be able to slow down and get to know organizations and communities and individuals we don't know, and understand their barriers to success, and think a little differently. As a kid here, I was deeply aware of the incredible privilege and always wanted to be a bridge builder from that privilege to good works in the community that really make a difference to many people who have the same gifts that we all do, but not the same resources. My work is primarily working with affluent families who have probably always been charitable, but who are really yearning to do something more significant in their community. And I work with those families to figure out how their money can make a huge difference, and then to help that come true for them. I think for people to feel connected to philanthropy, it's important to know more about where you live and to be part of solutions that are right there in your backyard. I had the great opportunity to launch the Community Foundation for Montgomery County and proceeded to work on that for 17 years and to shine a light on how this shift had happened, and that Montgomery County had astounding poverty, and especially immigrant poverty, to look at how we could build the capacity of local organizations to address the safety net, but also the solutions, education and workforce solutions. The privilege of my work has been that I have been able to make a difference in so many lives. And I hope I never stop doing what I've been doing, because it's so meaningful to me.
By the time I was 5, They got me my first snare drum because I would take oatmeal boxes and wooden spoons and buckets and I would just beat on everything. I remember my dad saying, "You're gonna learn to make music, not noise." You know, I was so sleepy from getting up so early and riding the bus an hour and a half from Southeast Washington. The 32 line pulled right in front of my house and dropped me off right in front of Sidwell Friends. I had learned to read music when I was young on bass clarinet, and we all took piano and violin and all that stuff. But when I picked up bass, I was self-taught, and so it was kind of like more funk and rock and roll, and then I started learning some jazz and jazz rock fusion. The musical life that I wanted to lead, I felt was kind of outside of school.
Is
that an electric bass?
Yeah.
You know, they told me there's a jazz group here, and I was like, wow, really? So I'm super grateful the students here have that. It wasn't that I was discouraged in any way. There just wasn't really a place for it here at the time. I played in a top 40 cover band and then moved to Atlanta. I got on this other track with Colonel Bruce Hampton that, you know, led to the Allman Brothers and Dead and Company and the guys from the Grateful Dead. Honestly, the whole Quaker vibe has a lot in common with the Grateful Dead vibe. There's that openness, there's a niceness, there's a vibe here that I remember that I should have been more appreciative of, you know? But I definitely got the benefit of it, for sure. It's a core set of beliefs that I'm completely 100% in line with, you know, still to this day. I think this was my homeroom. One of these along here, I think this was it though. You know, I certainly never thought I'd be playing stadiums and getting Grammys and, you know, like, if anybody had told me that, I just would have laughed at them, you know. You know, I don't really know how proud I am of all that, you know, like my son, if I could be a really good dad to him, that's one thing I'll be proud of if I do it right, you know. If he turns out good and I unleash goodness on the planet, I'll feel really proud of that.
I know I like telling stories, that some part of the subject matter speaks to a part of me in terms of who I am or what I'm interested in or exploring further. So it can't be too foreign. You have to listen to your inner voice. And I know that I need something to feel like I'm moving forward and challenging myself as a creative storyteller. And so I think the things that interest me are, trying to see if there are things I haven't done before. There was so much about this story as I saw it that did interest me. And what I was engaged by was a story about race in America, about the city of LA, about policing, about celebrity. Being a history major who's interested in sports and the intersection of sports and race, in many ways this was a story that was ideal for me to want to tell. The idea that you set out to do something that seemed semi-impossible, but that you did it. You know, this few of us sort of set out to take on this huge, undertaking, and we fulfilled the mission is the thing that I look at as the most rewarding, more than how people responded to it. At Sidwell, I found it to be a very safe, comfortable, warm environment to sort of be in for that period of your life where there is so much that is unknown. Sitting in that room where, 75% of the time you sit in a room for 45 minutes and it's silent. And that was the one day where it was immediate and it was constant in terms of voices that demanded to be heard. That was such an engaging hour of my life as an audience member. As someone who tells the stories that I do, to see the power of voice, to see the sort of emotions behind it, talking about the world that we live in, probably got inside of me in a very fundamental way that sort of carried with me. and the things that I've done. I'm equally proud of all the work based on the purity of effort that was exerted in every circumstance. To have ended up in a career that is sustaining and fulfilling to me, that has afforded me a community of people around me, people who I work with, who I love to work with. That to me is the thing I'm most proud of.